الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعين به ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الخلق أجمعين حبيب رب العالمين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. اللهم اجمعنا معهم في عليين بعد يوم القيامة من غير سابقة عذاب ولا حساب. آمين يا رب العالمين. Today's khutbah, dear brothers and sisters, is about a very, very important topic that we all have to focus on, which is the youth in Islam. Our youth are our future. Our youth is the future of Islam. And sometimes we get so busy with our lives day in, day out, feeding them, feeding our children, giving them homes, giving them the sustainable things in life, forgetting to encourage them to become the future leaders and the leaders whom are supposed to carry Islam to the whole world and to bring back the rights that Muslims have lost during history or during modern times. And if you go through the Quran and the Ahadith, you're going to find so many ayat talks about the importance of youth in Islam. And what more important than nowadays, where we see the enemies of Islam, starting from the shaitan Iblis with all his followers from jinn and ins, through all the other civilizations, West and East, even among us Muslims, a lot of us became the enemies of Islam. And where we need a strong force, a very well-equipped Muslims to face those type of attacks and to be able to address them the right way and be very well established in a way that they can represent Islam and they can face these challenges. Let's start with a beautiful ayah in the Quran talks about the youth. بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الله الذي خلقكم من ضعف ثم جعل من بعد ضعف قوة ثم جعل من بعد قوة ضعفا وشيبة. Allah, the one who created us started from a weak status, as being children, as being nutfa, and then babies. We are very weak. Why are we weak? We are weak because we depend on others. We depend on our moms and dads. We depend on the society. We depend in everything in our lives on others. We are very weak. We cannot decide on our own. And then we become strong. We become young men and young women. We can work. We can study. We can establish, do something with our lives. And then we go back to weakness, where we can, again, we need to depend on others, depend on medicine, depend on hospitals, depend on people to carry us around, depend on people to even feed us and help us around. So the ulama said, الشباب قوة بين ضعفين. The youth is a strength that exists between two weaknesses. And this youth, this strength has a lot of emphasis in Islam. Another beautiful ayah that talks about Anbiya. And if we look at the Anbiya, they are, all of them, most of them are young, very young. And one of the, I have two examples here. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قالوا سمعنا فتى يذكرهم يقال له إبراهيم. When the people of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they left their village or city to, for a matter, they came back and they found the asnam, the idols they used to worship, are all broken down. So they were saying, who did it? So one said, I heard a fata, a young boy, a young man, a youth, is talking bad about our idols, about our gods. Or he disliked that fata, he disliked our way of worship. Let's check him out, and his name is Ibrahim. So what's the example here is the word fata. And another very good example that we all read every Friday. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنهم فتية آمنوا بربهم وزدناهم هدى. Describing the young men, the youth, who left away, running with their deen, fled with their Islam from the king and from the government who used to oppress mu'mins. So there were few, maybe 5, 7, 8, who left. And what is the description? إنهم فتية. They are young. So many beautiful examples. And I will bring one last hadith before we go to what should we do with this beautiful topic. The hadith, authentic, all of us know. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم سبعة يظلهم الله في ظله يوم لا ظل إلا ظله. 7 that Allah Azza wa Jal will put them in the shade of His throne in a day, which is Yawm al-Qiyamah, that there is no shade, there is no running away from the heat, from the stress, from the terrible feeling in Yawm al-Qiyamah. We're all scared. People they want mercy of Allah Azza wa Jal in any means, and the most difficult situation is that the heat and the sun get so close that people have no shade. Even your own shade is not available. Yawm al-Qiyamah falls under a different chemical and a physical status, except the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal. 7 category of people will be enjoying that kind of shade. One of those categories, وَشَابٌ نَشَأَ فِي طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ. A youth that have been grown up in worshipping Allah, in following Allah's Azza wa Jal rules. Shabab al-Masajid, the people of the masjid, the young youth who comes to the masjid. These are the ones that Allah said in this hadith through Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, وَمَا يَنْطِقُ عَنِ الْهَوَى, that they will be protected يوم القيامة. Subhanallah. That's why it is important to address the importance of youth in Islam. I gave you a few ayat and a hadith about the youth of Islam. Let's see some good examples before moving to what is our duty towards this topic. And the examples are so many, I will choose few. These examples are the young Sahaba that used to be around Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they became giant leaders, heroes that have spread Islam, protected Islam, and they are the best example of young Muslims for our youth to know that if you're 17, if you're 16, if you're 15, if you're 20, it doesn't mean I can't do much. I am not experienced. I'm still young. I have to chill. I have to be cool. No. Look at this. You are a real hero if you know what the youth can bring to your life. طلحة ابن عبيد الله قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم من أراد أن ينظر إلى شهيد يمشي على رجليه فلينظر إلى طلحة ابن عبيد الله. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said about Talha, if you want to look at a living shaheed, a living martyr, you know the status of shaheed. How can he be a shaheed and he's still alive? He's a shaheed, he's alive because Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows the quality of this young youth. He's a youth. And he has a quality of a good Muslim, a good leader, that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam described him as a living shaheed. وهو أكرم العرب في الإسلام. He's one of the very generous Arab in Islam. وفي أحد بايع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم على الموت. In Uhud he came and he said, Ya Rasulullah, put your hand in my hand. I am here to give up my life to protect Islam. And he used to surround Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and protect him in Uhud with his own body from all the arrows that used to be thrown against Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now the question, how old was Talha ibn Ubaidillah? The young ones, pay attention. He was only 16 years old. 16 years old. Subhanallah. Another good example, the time is not enough to give you all the examples. Usama ibn Zayd, a very famous example. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, just the year he met Allah Azza wa Jal, he died, sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He has sent Usama bin Zayd to protect the Khilafah of Islam against the biggest army that time, who are the Rome. Usama bin Zayd used to lead this army while Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Umar ibn al-Khattab, Amir al-Jarrah, all of them, they used to follow him. The giant followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Khulafa after Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam left this life. Yet Usama bin Zayd had those qualities that he was the one chosen by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to lead the army. How old was he? In some narration 17, in some narration 18 years old. Subhanallah. That's why the youth are very important in Islam. Al-Arqam ibn al-Arqam, we all know that Dar al-Arqam ibn al-Arqam, where Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the early followers of Islam, the early Muslims, used to meet under, the cover. They were few, they were weak. Allah Azza wa Jalla did not allow them yet to expose themselves as Muslims, and they cannot go out and call others. So it was a da'wah sirriya. Ahdu al-da'wah sirriya fi Makkah. The secret da'wah that time. Few tens of Sahaba. The only place they found safe was the house of Al-Arqam ibn al-Arqam. How old was he? 16 years old. Subhanallah. Subhanallah. I didn't know this before. Muhammad al-Fatih, the one who opened Constantinople, which is now the Istanbul. No one for years, hundreds of years, could ever conquer or could have control over Constantinople. If those who went to Turkey, they had 3 layers of huge walls that not easily can be conquered. When he opened Constantinople, of course, with Islam, he was 21, 22 years old. And Az-Zubayr ibn Awam, he's one of the Ashar al-Bashri bil-Jannah. He was one of the Hawari of Rasulullah, and the Hawari means the close supporters of Muhammad sallallahu. He was 15 years old. The two young kids, boys, who took revenge from Abu Jahl in Ma'arakat Badr, Muawwad ibn Afra wa Mu'ad ibn al-Jamuh. They hit Abu Jahl in his legs on his horse and he fell down. And they took revenge of Rasulullah because he used to say bad things. Abu Jahl, one of the strongest mushrik in Quraysh. 2 young friends, how old are they? 14 years old. And the list goes and goes. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, 17 years old. Zayd ibn Thabit, 11 years old. Zayd ibn Thabit, he is Katib al-Wahi. He's the best writer that time, that Muhammad sallallahu used to make him write for him. And he used to write Quran for Muhammad sallallahu. And he learned languages in 2 weeks, different languages, and he made da'wah. And he was one of those who collected the Quran from bits and pieces into one book. Zayd ibn Thabit. We have to teach our children these good examples. 11 and 15 and 14 and 16 and 20 and 21. Most of our children nowadays are on their games, on TV, in the movies, hanging out in plazas, in McDonald's, in Tim Hortons, doing what? Chilling. Which means killing time. Which means doing nonsense. Which means backbiting. Which means talking about others. Which means bullying each other sometimes. And spending money with nonsense stuff. This is something I call myself and my brothers and sisters, we need to change it. We need to go back today and think, am I, as a parent, as a father, as a mother, am I doing what I'm supposed to do to equip my young generation, my children, who Allah gave it to me as an amana? Am I giving them what they need to become the heroes of Islam, to bring Islam to the whole world, to defend Islam, to be knowledgeable, to be the best examples? A question we have to ask ourselves. And it's not too late. It's not too late. As long as we breathe, as long as we are alive, we can do something, inshallah. This was very fast, going through the ayat and hadith and a few examples. Now we want to go to actions. So much action, but I chose what I felt very important. But they're not limited to. Other things are important. But let us start with this, especially here in the West. The most important thing that you have to make sure your young generation, your youth knows by heart is al-aqidah as-sahiha, the right aqidah. Many of our youth, if you tell them aqidah, they don't know what aqidah means. The belief system. The way you understand Allah in your life. Who is Allah for you? And we can talk about aqidah forever, but aqidah starts by saying La ilaha illallah. There is no God except Allah. And that means Allah is my boss and He is my only boss. Tell your children, tell yourself. Simple. Don't talk too much Tawheed al-Uluhiyyah, Tawheed al-Rububiyyah, Tawheed al-Asma' wa Sifat. That's something they need to read on their own when they are ready. But the basic aqidah, Allah brought us to this world for a reason, and to understand Allah's reason in creating you and me, first you have to believe that He is your boss. He decides what is good for you. Not your friend, not the movie, not your teacher, not even your parents. The real boss is Allah. If someone tells you something that aligns with the orders of Allah, sam'an wa ta'a. And Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, of course. La ilaha illallah means my boss is Allah, no other boss. If I want to go buy clothes, I have to remember how Allah wants me to wear. As a woman, as a girl, Allah told me to wear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Loose, cover, no see-through, no tight. Who said that? Not because my dad, not because of my culture, because Allah said that. If I want to go making my hair cut, how do Allah wants me to look? Decent, nice, not too much famous. Don't follow this singer, don't follow that player. Follow the orders of Allah Azza wa Jal. Make sure everything you do in your life, this is Aqidah. This is the simplest way to teach Aqidah. And you yourself as a parent, we have to learn Aqidah to be able to teach it. So that's number one. Equip your young ones with the proper Aqidah so they can be like Sa'ad ibn Mu'adh and like Talha ibn Zubayr and like Usama ibn Zayd and the others. Second, قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم رغم أنفه من أدرك والديه أو أحدهما ولم يدخل بهما الجنة. So the second advice is بر الوالدين. Our young generation, now the translation of this hadith, Allah Azza wa Jalla, Muhammad صلى الله عليه وسلم said that it's like pity and bad influence and bad result, and such, I would say, almost like curse, is being cursed 3 times those who have lost an opportunity, such as living with their 2 parents or one of them while they're alive and not being able to go to Jannah through pleasing their parents. So if you have your parents alive, you young ones, your father and mother or one of them, and you're not good to them that much, so you are granted Jannah, because if your parents are happy with you, inside their hearts, Jannah is your destiny, inshallah. So my advice to parents first, we have to be a good example to our children. When your son or daughter sees you talking nice and good about your dad and mom, calling them, giving them all your best attention, visiting them, maybe if they are old, they live with you, treat them the best way you can treat anybody in your life. This is the first way to teach your children how they can be good to you. And then teach them the importance of birr al-walidain. Very fast, I have only a few minutes left. Second advice for us to help create strong young youth heroes. The third one, husn al-khuluq, and the manners, good manners. Some youth, I know myself, they're friends of my kids. They became very religious. MashaAllah, tabarakallah. Quran, salah, siyam, wearing jalabiya, wearing thawb, and making as short as possible. Okay, sunnah, sure. Do anything sunnah you like to do. Having beard, mashallah, tabarakallah. But they do not pay a lot of attention to husn al-khuluq. One of these kids came to me telling me that his parents are against him being a good Muslim. And I said, come on, your parents are Muslims? He said, yes. So how can they be against you becoming a good Muslim? I have most of the parents are crying for their kids to become good Muslims. So how? He said, they don't want me to grow beard. They don't want me to pray all the time in the masjid. They don't need. So when I spoke to him, I found that the way he became religious, he became more tough. He became confronting with his parents, arguing with them, telling his dad, you're doing haram, telling his mom, you're wearing this and that. He became, subhanAllah, all of a sudden, the da'iyah who have a stick and he wants everyone inside the house to be the best Muslim they can. You cannot do this to your parents. You cannot. Even if you have haqq, you have to give it to your parents in a nice way. You have to advise them nicely. You cannot make them feel that they are bad people. That's what made them afraid that he might go to an extremism path. Right? So as a son and as parents, husnul khuluq, the good manners, the good attitude, are the real fruits of your Islam. I don't know how you pray, how much khushu' you have, how much Quran you read, how much siyam you do. I don't know. I shouldn't know. It's between you and Allah. But I know your manners, akhlaqat, your patience, your generosity, the way you deal with people, the way you deal with your wife, your children, your neighbors. These are the fruits. These are the real ihsan. Iman, Islam, ihsan. So people comes to Islam if they see Muslims, young and old, have amazing manners. Amazing manners. This is what we have to also teach ourselves and our youth. And the last one is, I'll say it inshallah after جلسة استراحة. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فيا فوز المستغفرين فاستغفروا الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وأما بعد. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم: نعمتان مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس، الصحة والفراغ. قال محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم said, صلى الله عليه وسلم, two ni'mah, out of so many, two ni'mah مغبون فيهما كثير من الناس, a lot of people don't pay attention to. The two ni'mah they neglect. All of us, we don't pay attention to these two specific ni'mah, two specific bounties. What are these? One, as-sihha, health, which is again youth, health, and faragh, time. We waste too much time, and we don't use the time of our powerful, healthy situation to our own benefit, to the benefit of society. We neglect that. The real direct meaning is the young age. Young age, young people, young men, young women waste a lot of time without really investing it for their dunya and akhirah. And an example of that, we see a lot of young people, they smoke, they vape, they do shisha, they do weed, they drink and eat unhealthy food. Some things haram, some things are makruh, some things are okay, but they are not. A lot of it will be bad to myself if I eat so much junk food. I'm hurting my sahha. So this hadith and so many أدلة هلاك الصحة وقتل النفس حرام في كل الشرائع. During all history, all anbiya, if you do anything that hurts your sahha, your health, and your youth and your life, it is haram. Whether it's haram 1%, it is haram. Allah does not allow us to hurt our own bodies. So if someone tells you, okay, shisha or vape, maybe haram, maybe halal, maybe in the between, don't believe them. Allah dislikes the least. Allah dislikes anything that hurts your body. And just for you enough to quit vaping and smoking immediately, this one information is for you enough to know. Besides, it is disliked or disapproved by Allah and His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you cannot do it in front of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam if he comes to you, and talking especially for the youth. The other information that the industry of these stuff are managed and led by who? By the best people on earth? By the leaders of Islam? By the leaders of Iman? By those people who want prosperity for people? No. The same people who make the vape, the same people who make smoking, the same people who make weed, the same people who make khamr, alcohol. Their money comes from our pockets, they become rich and they use the money to attack Islam and attack our health just because I like to have a cigarette. I like to have a vape. I don't know, I don't care who makes it, who is going to make me rich because of my money. I care to feel good. Temporarily feel good and then regret later. Our youth are doing this a lot and it's not up to them. The sahha, the life is a gift from Allah Azza wa Jal. Allah gave it to us to use it for our dunya and akhirah. A lot of other examples. I will conclude the aqidah for our youth. Important. La ilaha illallah, Allah is my boss. Birr al-walidayn, my parents are my first and most important people I have to look after, I have to please, I have to learn from, and I have to protect. Third, husn al-khuluq, good manners. Fourth, all these nonsense, haircut, vaping, smoking, haram stuff that I put in my body, and I don't seem to care. There's a huge price for it. And of course, part of Aqidah, I didn't mention, that Salah. Salah is your connection with Allah Azza wa Jal. When I was young, when people are young, we sometimes skip here, skip there. But please, teach your children Salah after knowing Allah. Salah is number one command, that no excuse for it. And you reach puberty, you become, in an age you're accountable. Salah, the last word of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as-salat, as-salah. And there is no excuse for you to leave it at all, except women at a certain situation. The more you are young and religious, the more you are a good candidate to become a future leader, to become someone who makes something out of his life and something out of the community. And may Allah bless us and accept from us all what we do to bring to this society, to the whole world, a generation powerful with iman, powerful with ilm, powerful with akhlaq. آمين رب العالمين. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا. اللهم اغفر لنا وارحمنا. اللهم ارحمنا فوق الأرض وتحت الأرض ويوم العرض عليك. اللهم اجعلنا ممن يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. اللهم لا تجعل لنا في جمعنا هذا إلا ذنبا إلا غفرته، ولا هما إلا فرجته، ولا حاجة من حوائج الدنيا والآخرة لك فيها رضا ولنا فيها قضاء إلا يسرتها برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم ارفع الغم عن الأمة. اللهم انصر إخواننا في فلسطين وفي غزة وفي كل مكان يظلمون فيه يا رب العالمين. اللهم انصرهم نصرا عزيزا مؤزرا. اللهم اغفر لنا تقصيرنا في حقهم. اللهم اغفر لنا تقصيرنا في حقهم. اللهم استخدمنا ولا تستبدلنا. اللهم استخدمنا ولا تستبدلنا. اللهم إنهم جوعى فأطعمهم. اللهم إنهم جرحى فاشفهم. اللهم إنهم مرضى فاشفهم. اللهم إنهم خائفون فأمنهم. اللهم إنهم خائفون فأمنهم. اللهم إنهم مظلومون فانتصر لهم. اللهم انتصر لهم يا رب العالمين نصرا عزيزا مؤزرا قريبا عاجلا غير آجل. اللهم اجعلنا خير نصير لهم. اللهم اجعلنا خير نصير لهم. اللهم خذ الظالمين أخذا يا رب العالمين نراه بأم أعيننا. يا رب العالمين ارزقنا الحق وارزقنا اتباعه. اللهم ارزقنا الحق وارزقنا اتباعه. اللهم ابعد أهل الباطل يا رب العالمين ولا ترزقنا اتباعهم. اللهم ولنا خيارنا ولا تولنا شرارنا. اللهم احمي بيوتنا يا رب العالمين. اللهم احمي أبناءنا. اللهم احمي زوجاتنا. اللهم احمي أعمالنا. اللهم اجعلنا نطعمهم طعاما حلالا طيبا مباركا فيه. آمين آمين آمين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. وأنت يا أخي أقم الصلاة.